Yo, BJ Gaddour with the Daily BJ, and one of the most frequently asked questions, unfortunately, that I receive on a regular basis is regarding intermittent fasting or fasting in general. So I want to break it down for you in this video and explain pretty much everything that I can impart upon you regarding, training and nutrition strategies around fasting. So, first of all, if we're talking intermittent fasting, which means typically you are eating only in an 8-hour window and then 16 of the other hours you're in a fasted state, you can still drink water. The biggest thing I tell people is, yes, I think it can help you burn more fat and get your body using more fat for fuel at rest and during exercise, but the studies do show that it doesn't result in any greater fat loss as long as calories are held equal. And one of the most ridiculous things that happens is people think, oh, I'm an intermittent fast, but they only get like 4 hours of sleep a night. I mean, you are getting most of the benefits from fasting while you sleep. If you're not getting a full 7 to 8 hours or more of sleep a night, you are missing out on those fat burning benefits. And also, while fasting, during the easiest time to do so, which is while you sleep. A lot of people in Muslim countries who practice Ramadan, they will try to, if they can, they'll sleep in the afternoons, because when you're hungry and you can't eat, the best thing to do is sleep and distract you from that. So, that's one thing too. Now, there are people that, my father is a Muslim, and I've actually fasted during the months of Ramadan with him before. I did it during a football season in college to support him. And that is a fast where you can't even drink water. I mean, it's, if you throw up, you break the fast. So there are degrees of fasting here. Some people do water fasts, other people do a full fast, and that type of fast is very difficult because, again, the dehydration component really takes its toll on your energy, your performance. Some people will say, though, it actually can help you with focus, but it's not optimal, right? I mean, you want to be able to drink water and get food in and support your pre-post workout goals in that way. But ultimately, what's interesting about all of this, the two most important factors are total protein intake and total calorie intake. So it's possible to still at least maintain results, if not build upon them in fasting protocols. But you have to consider with protein intake, it is about hitting a certain threshold and also a certain frequency to optimize muscle gain. So in terms of threshold, the research shows you want at least 2 to 3 grams or ideally upwards of 4 grams of leucine, which is a key amino acid in your food that actually helps trigger muscle protein synthesis. So you want to be able to, typically that's 30 to 40 grams of complete animal protein that hits that certain threshold. That's the threshold amount to trigger muscle protein synthesis. And you take that into account. You also need to space out your protein properly. That's a problem with a lot of fasting protocols, is they have to crunch your eating into such a small window of time, and you need about 3 to 4 hours from solid food to get the ebbs and flows needed to optimize muscle protein synthesis, meaning for that to go down enough to allow you to then spike your amino acid level in your bloodstream. If you're spiking it too frequently, your body can actually become numb to the response from the protein. A lot of good nutritionists, like Dr. Mike Russell, talks about this in his book, The Meta-Shred Diet. So you want to make sure for solid food, you space things out every 3 to 4 hours. If it's a liquid meal or like a fast-absorbing protein like whey, 1 to 2 hours might be enough, or amino acids. So again, you got to take that into consideration. It's not just the total amount of protein you need to trigger muscle protein synthesis. It's choosing the right foods if you have to eat more frequently, and give your body the time it needs to take advantage of what it previously took in without offsetting by bringing stuff in too fast later. So that has to be considered as well. So let's talk about just from a standpoint of just regular fasting, not necessarily Ramadan or a complete fast where you can't take anything in. When it comes to training in a fasted state, I love essential amino acids. I'll take some greens powder. Technically, it's not a fat. I'm not fasting anymore because calories are coming in. So it's kind of a modified protein fast. I'm just giving my body the essential amino acids it needs and a little bit of micronutrition from the greens powder so I can train optimally, get the water in, but still my body will be burning more fat for fuel in that state, and it's also sparing some muscle mass. Though again, as long as I would be getting enough total protein over the course of the day, it wouldn't be an issue. So again, it's about total protein intake, total calorie intake. The frequency is important when we're talking about protein. And that's what I prefer in terms of how to train in a fasted state. Now, if we're talking Ramadan, because especially if you're doing this during the summer where they're long days and you have to wait till the sun sets before you can, eat or drink at all, and you have to wake up super early before dawn to eat or drink and get that in. I'd recommend saving your heavy training session for later in the day. You would want to first break the fast with something quick and fast absorbing. It could be essential amino acids, it could be whey protein powder, it could be any liquid protein powder you can get in quick, but whey is very fast absorbing. If it had to be a meal, it would be like a light meal, like Greek yogurt with some berries, maybe a little granola. You would then do your training session and then follow that with a heavier solid food meal. And then if you could, 3 to 4 hours later, get in an additional 30 to 40 grams of protein before you go to bed. And that way you've kind of optimized, you've given your body a mix of faster and then slower absorbing proteins, and you've gotten that muscle protein synthesis trigger you've needed as much as you can in a smaller eating window, which is why, again, there's nothing inherently better about fasting. What it really becomes is, for people that tend to overeat or snack too much, fasting can be, fewer meals or intermittent fasting, whatever you want to call it. It just allows you to restrict your calories in a way that if I'm only eating during this X amount of time, or I'm eating fewer meals, but they're larger meals, you tend to have more satisfying meals. Again, it's about threshold, right? So if you're not eating enough quality food, or it's not hitting that threshold in your stomach that tells your brain you're full, and you're just noshing all day, you're going to be hungry all day. So that's why a lot of people do better with fewer, larger meals. It also makes you more mindful of how much is actually coming into your body. But there's something inherently better about it as long as the calories were held equal, right? So it becomes a personality thing, and it's definitely not optimal for muscle gain. Fat loss, yes, it can definitely help. But for muscle gain, it just becomes tough, especially when the actual feeding window is so small, because you need enough spacing between protein feedings to maximize the results from that protein. It isn't ideal for muscle gain. But if it's a religious thing, you do the best you can. You kind of switch your mindset, and you say, I'm just going to focus on trying to maintain performance, strength, and muscle this month. And then once Ramadan is over, or whatever religious protocols you follow, I'll go back to my regular diet. And ideally, you want to optimize muscle gain and performance from a protein standpoint. You want at least 4 protein feedings a day, spaced about 3 to 4 hours, to optimize muscle gain. So hope this helps. Intermittent fasting is not inherently better than any other protocol, but it can be useful for some that are looking to burn more fat, get their body using more fat for fuel, but optimally it's not ideal for muscle gain. So this is a longer video, but I want to take the time to really break it down and explain it for you. Eating and diet is entirely personality based. All the research is very clear on this. Calories held equal, it doesn't really matter. But what does matter is what will you stick with, what's sustainable. So if you find that, like I do, eating fewer, larger meals works well, I don't panic about any sort of time frame or window. And even when I train empty, which I prefer, I feel more energetic, and some people don't, but a lot of people do feel sluggish if they eat heavy before they train. I still have essential amino acids and greens powders around the workout, so it's technically not a fast because I've had some calories and some stuff coming in. So just wanted to explain that, and hope this helps. Do the best you can with it. Peace.